Hello guys, welcome to my new video. In this video, I will be talking about the OTP authentication using Firebase. For the routing purpose, like I have used a Go router and I have made some changes in the material, the my app thing. That we have a two material with the Getx and for the router purpose, material app.router. And here are the router file that will routes to the various screen will be helpful in the web also. So you can see that I have wrapped with this kind of temporary solution, but further we will be moving to the next estate management, that is provider or riverboard. So for now let's let it be and move further. So as you see, I have designed this the country and all the stuff, and for authentication we can go to the documentation of the Firebase. It's clearly mentioned how to enable and as well as how to just write down the code of that. So for that, what we will do, we will be just enabling that thing, and just go to the Firebase console and add the SHA1. For enabling the SHA1, we have to check whether the key tool is there or not. So I have not enabled the key tool. For that, you have to go to the Android Studio install directory. So in my case, it's program files, not program 86. So Android Studio GRE. If GRE doesn't have that content, you can go to the JPR file. So GRE and the bin and open the command prompt here. Okay, so we see there's a key tool, so we can open the command prompt here, and we have to just write down the command of generating the key tool. So let's first check the key tool is working fine. Yeah, so it's working fine right now, and we can just search for the key tool generation command, because generally we don't have to remember all the stuff. So we can just go to the we can just Google the stuffs to generate the debug SH1. So I can get this thing from the Stack Overflow. You can also get. So just paste it, and also change the path of the key store. In my case, in the Windows, we have a C drive users and then username and then the .android, and in .android there is a debug.key store file. So we can just press enter, and we have password, and the key store password and key path is also same like Android and Android. So the SH1 key is generated. We can just paste it in our project. So let's copy that and paste it in our project. So let's project setting and scroll down and add a fingerprint, paste it and save. Now you have the fingerprint enabled in the Android. So download the Google services JSON and replace with the previous one. So it will be like updated Google services JSON. Generally it's not required, but for some cases, like if there's nothing, if there's the update doesn't work, we can just replace it. So yeah, so there's a code for authentication. So we can just use these codes, like it will be having what you can say same as we are going to use in our app. So nothing gonna change. The documentation says it all, so we can read the documentation and just clear our doubts for anything. And if still you have doubt for like authentication purpose, we can just comment down. So for now, just creating the authentication controller, like auth controller, and we can just import Getx get, and we can just create a class of auth controller extending the Getx controller. So yeah, and also we will be having a static of that getting the instance of the auth controller if it's already initialized. So like we can just get the instance of get find, that it will find the exact controller of type auth controller. So if there's a controller initialized with the auth controller, it will just grab the stuff. And yeah, so for that we have to enable the auth controller for first time, like when the app start, it should put the controller to the library. We can just inject it in the app. So yeah, so auth controller is getting initialized, and we can now use the auth controller dot instance, as it's a static variable. Now for the next button, I will be just calling the uh, async function. So it should be like a circular progress indicator. When it's clicked and after the code is sent, it will just move to the next screen. So like we have to just make it circular when the code is being sent. Okay, and after the code is successfully sent, we just make it false, and the circular progress indicator will be gone, and we will be moving to the next screen. So let's create a function which will be returning a future void, and it will be like verify phone authentication. So phone, let's say phone auth, and we'll be providing the phone number and the code of the like country. So country code is very important, because without that we will not be implementing. Like we can also have a mobile number only. We will be sending the country code as well as mobile number in the same string. So let's copy the functions. Okay, let's copy the functions and let's paste it, import all the stuffs, and you will be good to go, and replace the phone number with your mobile number. Yes. Yeah. So these are the functions which verification complete, verification failed, code sent, phone code auto retrieval timeout. So if if this thing if the any of the cases happen, the following function will be fired. So let's add is code sent to true, because while we are clicking that button, this async function will be called. So after every function, like any of the function is fired, let's make it false to disable the circular progress indicator and replace with the button. So it will work as a toggle. Like if you click the button, it will perform some action and make it the button as circular progress indicator. And if the function results some if the function gives some result, it will just replace the uh, progress indicator with the button. So it will just work as a toggle. Also we can just pass a build context for the showing snack bars, dialogues, and etc. We can have this in a named parameter, so that we can just make it required, and we can have an optional parameters too. Let's go to login screen, and we can just make the auth controller here, or yeah. So let's add the auth controller as that static uh, variable, as a, like auth controller, and it will be private for this class. So auth controller dot instance, it will find the controller and give the instance of that. Yeah. So okay. And we'll be using the dot controller for like calling the functions as well as the variable. So let's go down to the button and let's call that auth controller. So auth controller dot phone authentication, and we'll be putting the context as well as mobile number. So to get the mobile number, we'll be having a variable of code as well as the mobile number. So let's grab the code and mobile number in a variable. So like we can have code as well as we have a code variable. Okay, let's go to the drop down of that. So we have a code variable, and we can have that text editing controller to get the rest of the phone number. So yeah, as you see, we have like initialize all the stuffs above, so we can use it. Let's say um, phone or phone controller or mobile. Yeah, it's phone controller dot text dot trim to remove the extra spaces, like if there's any. Okay, and just print the. You can just print the mobile number, or we can just pass it in that. So what I'm going to check if that mobile number contains the plus sign or not. Like we have to check whether that thing is, yeah. So there's a validation. Okay, so it says 91 and there's no plus sign. So it like we need to check whether we have to put the plus sign by ourselves. So like I concatenated with the interpreted the string with the plus. So we can just do the stuffs and we can just print that thing and it's working fine. Now the time to call the function as well as update the variable of loading, like showing the loading thing. To do that, we have to just wrap with the obx. So let's wrap with the obx to detect the changes of the getx variable or the rx variable. So it will just have that, and we can check whether it's sending. If it's sending, we will be returning the thing, or we can use the visibility widget with the two thing. Like for the first is the child, which will be the parent, and the second will be replacement. So replacement will be shown when the visibility is false, and child will be shown when the visibility is true. So it's an easy, so it's the easiest method to just overcome this thing, like having the ternary operator uh, in the UI code. Okay, so it says child argument should be in last, so let's move it to the last thing. It's not a mandatory thing, but it's like a structure of the code, so we have to do that. Yeah, so it's now working fine, and you need to call the Getx. So we need to restart the app to overcome this thing. So we can just restart, and the error will be gone because the app is not started in the Getx is not initialized. So we can just, okay. So app restarted the application, and yeah. So you can see the debugs of the paths. Okay. So let's add like India and the mobile number, anything. So like let's add a dummy mobile number for that. So let's go to the sign in method, phone authentication, and testing number. So I have already added that number with a like country code and OTP also. So we can just give a try of hitting the function. Okay, so it's like it's doing some stuff. So the loader came up, and it will just allow the reCAPTCHA. So for disabling the reCAPTCHA thing, I will be like making a separate video to how to overcome this thing. So in the next video, it will be a very short video for overcoming that, and you will get to know how to like use that. So I will be demonstrating using SH8 to 56 fingerprint. So stay connected. and I will be getting towards the Android Google Play Integrity API as the Android verification API is device verification API is deprecated. So let's create a variable to initialize when the thing is done. So let's say label of a string verification ID. So when the code is sent, we will be ensuring that. We can also make it late because like it will be initialized when and only if that code is sent, and as well as for the resend token too. So the verification ID will be initialized with the verification ID, and the resend token will be initialized with the resend token. Okay, so this thing is done, and what we have to do, we have to create a function which will be checking the number, which is checking the OTP is correctly done or not. So let's verify OTP, I guess. Let's make a function of name, what we can call a verify OTP. Yeah, that is fine. So we will taking the code as an input SMS code, yeah, and make it async. Yeah, now we have to verify the OTP. So if the code is sent, we need to go to the named thing. So we will be having to the OTP screen. So let's go to the OTP screen. Yeah, verify that it comes from the route. Okay. So after sending the OTP, we will be going towards to the OTP screen. So that thing will happen after the code is sent. And another thing, for the real device, we will be having different uh, uh, like uh, authentic what we can say auto code retrieval. So let's and go to the phone authentication, like phone like how we can just make a phone auth credential with the um, like with verification ID and as well as SMS code. So it's not phone authentic auth credential, but phone auth provider dot credentials. Yes. So what we can do, okay, so required is verification ID as well as uh, the SMS code. So yeah, so the thing is that auth credential is created. We need to just fire the sign in with auth. So we can just make a variable saying of Firebase auth as auth, and we can just make it Firebase auth dot instance. Okay, so replace this with an auth as we made a variable, and we can use that variable here also. So sign in with credentials, and we can just put the auth credential. So it will just verify the phone number either it's true or false. So it will just give the exception, like if then mobile that OTP is wrong or sign is failed. So we can just catch the exception over here. Okay, so the thing is done, and what we can check if then any we can just also directly sign with phone number. And yeah, so there's like various methods you can go through the documentation and read the stuff. So if you have any confusion regarding the documentation, you can just ping me on Instagram as well as in the comment box of the video. So yeah, so let's drill down to the OTP screen. Like it will be making it named parameter as well as required. So also we will be giving the build context, like showing some stuff. Okay, so build context will be like of nullable, so we can just print, or we can just print the exception, like if there's OTP exception or anything that OTP is smashed. So when the code is sent, we can just have this, and when the verification is complete, we can just sign in directly uh, to the like to the sign up page. So for the sign up page, we will be having another logic that it should be signed up as well as it like the data is in the sign up as well as like we have already signed up, we are just logging, and for that uh, thing, like what you can say, like if you have not signed up, you are just a newly new user, then you should see the sign up screen. So let's say if context is mounted to remove this, okay, let's mount it, yeah. Okay, now, so like I've done this home as a blank page, so you can just, okay, so the code is sending, there's a reCAPTCHA. In the next video I'll just resolving this stuff, how to remove this reCAPTCHA uh, using plain integrity. So you see that we have got to the OTP screen, and we can just enter the OTP to get the verification done. Let's go to the OTP screen and fire this function as when the user inputs the OTP. Also, we will just remove this button in the next video, like verifying the OTP, and we will be didn't get the code, and then it will be like a small text to just resend the OTP. So let's initialize the auth controller first to call the auth controller functions. And what we can do, we can just go to the OTP input thing. Okay, on clipboard validator, so we can just remove this validator. So let's remove this validator and make it, okay, so we can just to make it bool or string, like label string. If it's null, so there's no error, otherwise there will be a error. So OTP is invalid. Okay, so return null because that you have signed in successfully, otherwise this will return some exception, like the toString. So the toString is a function. So let's make a bracket, yeah, so it's fixed now. So I remove that navigation from there, and we can just put the navigation in the OTP screen. So let's make it async, and we can call the function. Okay, so we need to pass that. Okay, so as you see, I've written the code because this code is not valid because we are using a validator over here. So we don't have to make it validator. We have to just make it when the OTP pin is completed, like all the fields are filled. So let's add it here because we don't want to validate anything. The validation will be done when the OTP, like when the completion of the OTP is done. So, and that thing will be like given by that pin, and pin will be having the value. So first of all, like I made some mistake that the pin length is less than 6. So yeah, so it will be resolved. Let's call the function first and provide the pin. Okay, and So let's add the verification of that value is equal to null, then it will be like that. We can just go to the next screen. Otherwise, we can just stay on the screen. So let's add context.mounted. And we can just go to um, sign up screen. The logic will be like sign up, as I told you earlier, that we will be changing that to we're using Firebase Firestore, Cloud Firestore, and you can use a real-time database system, but I prefer using Firestore. Cloud Firestore will be like next generation real-time database system. So yeah, so the authentication is done. Let's make what we can say. Let's make a function which will resend the OTP. So let's make a function of auth, and what we can do, we can just reuse that function. We can use that function by like tweaking, make by like making that function reusable. So in the documentation it also says that we just need to call the verification. So we can just tweak the above function of phone auth to get the uh, resending token. So like we have a force resend token, yes. So what we can do, we can just make this token as a, like if there's a resend token and it will just um, resend that token. So like verification ID, we can just grab the phone number. No, we cannot grab that phone number from the verification ID. So we need to pass the phone number also in the next, like sending that OTP token as well as the phone number. So what we can do, we can just either get from the OTP screen, or we can just get from the uh, we can say by passing that as an argument. So instead of an argument, we can just pass from the like parameter as a query parameter, so that we can grab from the like from this URL. So let's say mobile, and should say state dot params, and param key will be the mobile, as you see as done above. So mobile, and also we can just have this thing, the name of the route as same as the, so we can just give the parameter as well. So just to replace the name as the path of it. So also we can just we can, yeah, okay. So we can just give this thing and concatenate with the mobile number. Okay, so mobile number. So we can just grab the stuff from the URL, and let's give a try. I think it will work fine. So we can just grab the stuffs from the parameter. Say mobile. Okay, so just modify the log OTP screen also to accept the mobile. Let's add the parameter to the OTP screen. So let's say final string and let's say mobile, and we will be adding this dot mobile here. Okay, so what we have to do, we need to restart the app also to overcome that thing. And token will be the recent token what we have initialized above. So the recent OTP is also done, and we will call that function on the click of the button. You can just go down and check where the button has a click. Yeah. So instead of that, we'll just remove the stuff and let's say auth controller dot resend OTP, not o token but the OTP. So we have a mobile, so we can just say widget dot mobile. Okay. So as you see, like what we have, you can just put it await, and if mobile numbers like null, then we will not send it the OTP because that null mobile number will not. Let's say like giving a check over here. So we will be sending go name uh, to the login. So we can just go to the login if the mobile number is empty. Else, like we can return from here. Otherwise, it will call the function below. So yeah, and let's fix the stuff. Small stuff we can just put the dart fix applied, and it will just put the const and remove the unused import. So that thing is ready, and what we can do, we can just okay. So it's fine. It will call the function. It will make it true, and no need to make it here. So let's restart that. Okay, so we need to restart again because the restart is rejected as we haven't saved the file. So as you see, like the app is restarted and everything is initialized. We need to put the phone number as we have a testing phone number. And let it complete that thing. Okay, so what it says we have not the route of this. So we have to make the route of the OTP. So let's fix that. Okay, what we can do, okay, what we can put a named here so that it will work fine. We can put params of like mobile and giving the mobile number. So it will be like taking as a parameter. So query is for posting and param is for URL from the URL get or post method. You can say similarly like that. So it will grab that thing and it will just give a mobile number. So let's check. the OTP screen, or we can just make a file saying home screen, so that we can just traverse to the home screen. Let's make a stateful widget as home screen. This will be the dummy screen. We will be making it later. So let's say scaffold, and yeah, you can say home screen for now, so that like we can show something when we go to the home screen. Okay, so we have made the route, and yeah, so for the first time, like if we run the app, we will go to the splash screen, and when we just okay, restart the app, you have changed the route, and we can just go to login screen. We will be also making that that the user, if the user is logged in, we should not go to the home screen. It will be redirected towards the login screen. So we will check it later as the redirect of the go route. Definitely, we will be learning some good stuff, and we will be solving bugs together. So, like you see, if we have OTP screen, and yeah, so let's add it. We're sending the OTP again. It's working fine. Okay. So if there's a like same parameter, same go route navigation, it will not redirect to the next stuff, and we'll be like inputting the OTP as we are given as dummy. So it's working fine. But what the thing I have done, I have made some logical mistake. As you see in the OTP screen, as you remember, like we have made that pin is length is less than 6. So we have to find out, we have to just make it equal to. So let's say pin length equal to 6. So when I put that thing, it will just okay. So when I say 6, so as you see, the sign up screen is visible. Like I have made this by some of my images. You can also made on your own stuff. So what the next we can do, we can just put the read only if the it's mobile authentication, or we can just put the read only if of email if the user is authenticated from the social. So we can just have user of Rx because we will be listening to that, and we can do like having the user of auth current user, say auth dot current user. Yeah, so let's not make it final because yeah, it will be variable, like it will be changing towards like authentication change. Also let's mm, yeah, so we will get the user from that type user, and we can just check if the user is null, it will be not logged in. Otherwise, the user is logged in, it will be just having. We can also get the user as like, because we don't need to make it observable as we can just a current user as an like the user, so no need to add the observable. So for the sign up screen, we can just put if the user is not null. So let's say put in the init state, and in the init state, we'll just initializing the field. So before that, we need to call the auth controller, and auth controller will be from the auth controller dot instance. And here we can check the user logged in or not. So let's say auth controller dot user no not equal to null. So it will check for the nullability. So auth controller and phone controller dot text will be auth controller dot user dot phone number. Okay, we need to check for the null thing. Okay. Similarly, we will go for the email. Like if the user is send, if the user is logged in through the email and Google sign in, it will definitely having a name. Otherwise, it will just giving the empty. So similarly goes with the email. So let's say email, and email will be here. Okay. So when we are checking that the user should not be null. So let's send the OTP again. Yeah, it's very annoying to see the reCAPTCHA thing. Definitely we will be removing this thing. So you see that mobile number is filled and all the stuffs are blank because we have just go to a sign up with the auth use with the current user, and current user only have the mobile number. So I think we have a +9. We need to add this to the country scope, and what we can do, we can just put it here, and for that we need to do some extra stuff. So let's check first if the user is signed in or not. Yeah, so we have the sign in, and we have the user UUID or UID of that user. So in this stuff, we have done the, so we can say context.state, and we will be we will be having context as well as the state. So we can just get the user. So if the user is null, so definitely it's not logged in. So we can just go to the login screen, else returning to the null because we need to stay on the screen. Okay, so if we try to go to the login, we will be just thrown to the uh, like to the home, to the login screen. We will be if we not login. So for the web, we will be not showing any kind of like, uh, any splash screen. So we will be directly jumping to the home screen. So if we are not logged in, then it will just redirect to the login screen. So that's an idea of redirection. So let's close this app from for the, and we can just run for the web to check the routing thing. Okay, so it's started running. So it's waiting for the run, and yeah, it's now running. So as you see, we have it says that home is not there's no location of name login. So for the login, we have auth to just replace with this stuff. So or else what we can do, we can just change the name of that. So instead of login, let's say auth. Okay. So as you see, we have let's first of all check. Okay, so it's working fine, I guess. And we are going to the auth, and yeah. So earlier it was a error because we haven't initialized the /auth instead of login. So for the URL strategy, some extra stuff, suffix of the URL, we need to remove that. So we can just import the URL strategy of the Flutter package. So we can just import it into our package and call this function to resolve the stuffs. So let's add it flutter pub add and the path, that name of the dependency, and we can just go to the main dot dart. Okay, yeah, and we can call this function. So sometimes it's not give like suggestion. You can just first import it, then okay. So we need to import that URL path strategy. I was mistaken. Yeah, so this one you can just restart the app. Okay, so you see that thing is gone, and we are redirected towards the login. Either we are like on the we try to home screen or not. Let's check the OTP thing. Yeah, it's working fine, and we can just put the OTP here as we check. Okay, so it's working fine for this web also, as well as we will try to add this on the iOS. We will try to check it on the iOS. So that's all from this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. And for more stuff, like if you have any confusion, you can just go to my Instagram and ping me, as well as you can just comment down in the comment section, so I can make it better and make you better understanding of the stuff. Uh, so yeah, so that's all. Thank you. Have a nice day.